I thought this was chamomile. What'd you make? Is this Earl Grey? Ugh, gross. This isn't the tea I wanted, but I got some tea for you though. So Stark is locking people's bikes. They're turning them off. They're bricking them. So super interesting stuff. Hopefully I'm never on a list, but both of our bikes are clear of liens. So we should never be encountering this. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on. I'm not going to mention names. If you figure out names, figure out dealerships, this is not for you to go mess with them. This is just some tea. This is just a talking point. Just...
Did you sign an NDA?
I didn't sign jack. So what we got going on, there is 3 stories right now, and all of them include these bikes being bricked and not being able to be used by who is currently in possession of them, because that's a little bit of a gray area currently. So I'm going to start with the first story, and they kind of get progressively crazier, worse, yada, yada. So the first one is when we were trying to sell Sammy's other Stark, there was a bike for sale. And a lot of people were using that as a bargaining chip because it was about $1,500 cheaper than what we were willing to take for it. And there were a lot of people that's like, it didn't have a phone, yada, yada. And then we ended up meeting a guy that met them at a dealership. And they went around and around. And they found out later on that the bike was off. Like, it would turn on, it would go through the motions, but it would go into gear, but it was like you locked it from your phone with the new EX. So come to find out, it was stolen, and the original owner had marked it stolen with Stark, but the VIN number wasn't pulling up as stolen. So it was like they had reported it through Stark with their insurance company, but it hadn't gone through police. So the VIN itself wasn't registered as stolen. So that's just one. And to be honest, I'm actually happy that's a possibility, because if our bikes got stolen, I would like the ability to brick it. It'd be a parts bike at that point, but, you know, I don't like thieves any more than the next person. I mean, I think the only person who likes thieves are thieves. So I'm not going to, delve into that too much. Story 2 is a little bit more spicy. So story 2 and story 3 kind of blend together, but story 3 involves a dealership. So story 2, guy buys a bike, buys it used, and about 6 weeks after he bought it, and he got, an MSO, he got everything, he has all the original paperwork, there's no lien on the title, and long story short, because it's a little bit of a he say, she say, so I try to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Hearsay? Like, we learned that from the Amber Heard trial. So he bought the bike, and then it got bricked, and then Stark is letting him know that somewhere somebody registered as stolen, and he hasn't figured it out yet, because I guess he wanted to say something online and kind of get it out there before actually reaching out to authorities, which that's a little bit of a gray. It's a red flag. Sorry. It's a red flag for me, because the police are the first people I would be calling over this. And so his story is he has a title, he has all of this stuff, and he's coming to find out that may not mean everything, because if there's actually a lien on a title, but he has a version of a title that doesn't show a lien, that doesn't mean anything. And on paper, whoever has a lien is actually the owner of the vehicle. It's the same with the bank that owns your car most of the time. So he's in a situation where he's trying to get this figured out, because he's under the impression that the person he bought it from owned it clean and clear, but they didn't. So now it leapfrogged to him, and, technically the bank that the original guy bought it from owns it, and there's a big old hoopla there. So that one's not that spicy. Story 3. There is a big dealership that is, I'd say, probably top 3 in the nation of the U.S. that is a Stark dealer. And from every experience that I've had, they are good. This is my story time. It's my story time. So they are very good. They're very helpful. But they are kind of one of those, I don't want to call it drop shipping, but it's pretty close to drop shipping. They essentially take an order, and then Stark delivers the bike. There was a couple of bikes that I think that got shipped from their dealership. Yada yada. That's not the point. So the original story that was told by the guy that, has the bricked bike at the moment, it sounded very convoluted because he bought a used bike, but he made it sound like he bought it from the dealership. But then as the story kind of broke down, what happened is he bought it from someone that stole somebody's identity to buy the bike with false credentials. And it made it 6 months in this guy's possession before anything happened with Stark. So what happened, and this is the way I understand it, because this story I've actually had the luxury of hearing a couple of different sides. So I'm going to kind of meld the stories together, and I'm going to, like I said, this is all from my viewpoint of a third-party story. So this is just some story time as far as it's concerned. So he bought the bike, and he's not really got any recourse because the person that he bought it from is essentially a false name. And what happened is that the identity that got stolen, that person reported it because they found out, there's a financial company that has a loan on his credit, and then he filed it as, identity fraud and yada yada. And then they essentially, it's like, what is it called whenever a chargeback on a credit card? It's almost identical to a chargeback. So the dealership loses the money. They're out that. And then, so the only person who won is the identity fraud person, but he won because he got to sell the bike. So homie that bought the bike now has the bike, but he doesn't want to submit the bike to authorities, the police. And he's not technically working with the police, but he says he's working with an investigator, but it's not the right precinct. So there's a bunch of hearsay, and I'm not really going to delve into that because that's for them. But he's throwing a bunch of shade saying the dealership's not helping him. And to my knowledge, the dealership is saying, hey, A, B, and C are what you need to do. And it's like he's only wanting to deal with C. And so they got to go through that process. And that's scary because the problem here is like if you buy a brand new bike, this shouldn't even be a problem that you even have to consider being on your radar. But the thinking point is we're in a world where there's a lot of cars out there. Like our neighbor has an Escalade that they can turn his car off. He can turn it off. He can safety turn off his car. And
all Fords now can.
They can. That's nice. I mean, in a safety factor, it's nice, but it's kind of scary knowing that you have something that can be taken away from you. And it's a tool, but it also is something that could be used against you. And I just wanted to kind of...
So I can find the VIN off of somebody I'm racing.
Ooh, and have it turned off mid-race. Yeah, we're just kidding. But so I just wanted to bring this up because that's something that it was on my mind. I've always known that Stark has had, connection possibilities.
From the first phone call.
Yeah, we knew because they ran diagnostic one time without us even saying anything. We sent an email and they said, hey, we've already ran a diagnostic. You've had some misbalanced cells on one of the rides. It did this. And we're like, we're not even home. The bike's not even on. And they pulled that data. And so this is something that the warning that needs to go out for you is you need to do your due diligence if you're buying a used bike. If it's a used bike that looks new and it's a person that didn't ride it, kind of questionable because they could have done this just to sell the bike. But a bike like, we're special because, we used the bike. We are special. And,
but yeah.
Yeah. In a medium bus, not a short bus, a medium bus. Yeah, we still have the good air conditioning. But that's something you need to be careful with. You need to be able to do your due diligence and find out if a bike doesn't actually have a lien, which I think credit companies have a little bit more tools to look that up than we do.
Just be smart.
Yeah, just be smart. I mean, if something seems too good to be true, then it might be too good to be true. But it's scary that you have to be worried about buying a used bike. I'm kind of sad because I feel like this is actually only going to hurt the resale value of the bikes even further.
Get their driver's license.
Yeah.
Bill of sale.
Yep. Get their driver's license. I mean, or get their tag. you know, I've done that before when we've done bike deals. Like, I take pictures sometimes of them, and like if it's like a really weird deal, but it's like if you go to the person's house to pick it up, then
Drop their bike off.
you know, I've had people who roll up to my house and like don't ride the bike at all and say, hey, here's the money, I appreciate it, shook my hand and like left, and I'm like, you don't want to ride it, you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to do anything, and it's like, nope, good, I know what I want. And I can appreciate those people, but I'm not that person. So let me know what you think in the comments. It's only another thing that's a blemish. I mean, and it's not even Stark's fault, because Stark doesn't have any reason to be locking people's bikes. Like, it does not serve them any benefit, and if anything, it only costs them reputation to be doing this, because it literally serves them no benefit, because
A double-sided coin.
it is a double-sided coin. It is.
You'd want that protection.
You want that. I would want that protection. Like, I would want them to be able to brick my bike if it got stolen. But, you know, if I'm on the other side of that coin and I buy a used bike and I have it for 6 months and I take it out and I go to ride it, and then I get to the place that I rode, because I'm driving 18 hours for some of these races, and if I drove 18 hours and then all of a sudden my bike won't turn on, I'm going to be pretty upset. I'd be trying to figure out how to hotwire my bike. Yeah, it's... Hopefully you don't ever have to deal with this. This is 3 stories out of, I mean, gosh, there's 10,000 MXs, and I think we're at like 3,000 or 4,000 EXs. So out of 15,000 bikes that I know of, like we've only heard 3 stories. Like, it's not that bad. And from what the dealer said, it sounds like there's been a little bit of identity fraud with Stark in general. And I think that's probably because you can buy these online. Like, it's not like a KTM where you have to go and fill out a bunch of paperwork. You have to go do stuff. You could just literally fill out a form and they ship it to your house. And that probably leaves a little bit of room for sketchiness. So I'm going to quit rambling. You know, you always can hit me up in the comments. I'm always here for you guys. If you need anything, holler at me. Don't forget referrals, like and subscribe. Let me mention this about referrals before I go. So if you are interested in a referral, not just for me, if anybody's interested in a referral, if the person buying a bike, it has to be 1, a new bike. 2, if they have filled out the form to sign up for a test drive, even if they have not done the test drive, it invalidates them for being used as a referral for somebody else. So I would reach out to Stark if you're trying to do that before you put the order in. 3, if you have already put an order in, don't bother doing the referral. Like, it invalidates it. You've on their side, you've already ordered the bike. You've already done that part. If you're buying it from a dealership, you can do it as late as the day that you pick it up from the dealership. So appreciate you guys. If you want to use me as a referral, hit me up on Instagram, and we are happy to help you with that. And also, if you need any tech advice or anything like that, I'm happy to do what I can on Instagram. We appreciate everyone that likes and subscribes. We appreciate you guys. Check us out for more.